Alright, hello fun and welcome back to my Fallout 4 Mod Spotlight series, where today we are having a look at the Lewis gun mod, which is being made by the Fallout London team. And what this glorious little piece of work looks to add into the game is the real-world World War I light machine gun, the Lewis gun. And I absolutely love this thing, as not only is it a weird World War I weapon, but it is of course being made for the Fallout London mod, and well, I always love getting to see any sneak peeks of what we'll get in that thing eventually. So let's jump on over here and have a look at what we do get with the Lewis gun, which in its most basic and standard form will do just 18 damage with a 5mm round, with a firing rate of 109, range of 107, accuracy of 64, for a pretty hefty weight of 13.8. And as you can see, this thing is pretty impressive looking, very nice on the modeling and texturing of it, and overall just looks pretty darn cool. I always did love the weird top-fed magazine of the Lewis gun. It was always a very intriguing feature to it, so fun to see that here in the Commonwealth now, and just overall a fun new weapon, and always good to see more guns with the 5mm ammo. There's a couple of different ammo calibers in this game that don't get used enough, so having them here is pretty good. Now, as for the modifications that we do have on this thing, it's a decent list, not the biggest ever, but there is enough in there to really help this thing be more useful into the mid to late game, and even some fun, very Fallout modifications in the barrel category, which make this thing a whole heck of a load of fun, and all in all, I'd say a pretty decent list. Now, as for how you do get your hands on one of these lovely things, well, first and foremost, you're gonna have to find it in the world, and specifically, you will go and get it over at Fort Strong, where in the interior, in the room with the main loot trunk, you'll have this on the wall. And once you do grab that thing off of the wall, you'll then be able to craft them at any chemistry station in the world, if you simply go to the Lewis gun category here, and for just a small amount of materials, you'll be able to make your very own World War I light machine gun. But that is not all. Starting at level 25, you'll actually start to see these on legendary enemies, so you could get your very own legendary version of this Lewis gun, which is pretty darn cool. I think that's a fun little addition on top of the one found in the world, and of course, the ones you can make. So let's go take a look at the modifications we do have on this thing, and of course start with the receiver category, where we've got some good selections in here of the pretty typical things like standard, armor-piercing, hardened, powerful, etc. But we also do have some other receivers that change the caliber. For instance, if you want to switch this thing to a 45 caliber, you can do that. And we even have a number of 308 caliber ones too, and these are going to be the ones that are going to give you the most damage, with the 308 powerful receiver being the highest damage here at 28. But that's not the only way you can adjust the damage on here. We also do have the barrel category, where we start off with the pretty standard sort of things of standard, light, heavy barrel, but then we go to some very Fallout ones, with a barrel that adds incendiary propellant to the bullets. Or, you know, a heavier version of that, a kinetic refraction converter, and even a plasma diffusion chamber to turn a World War I Lewis gun into a plasma machine gun, and that's just fun, and still surprisingly using the 5mm ammo on there. So yeah, some pretty fun little additions here that I do definitely like. So long as you got the gun nut and the science, you can definitely make this thing a very Fallout kind of weapon. Now then, we have the carry handle category, which is an interesting one, because by default with the no carry handle, this thing functions like any rifle basically in the game, but if you add a carry handle, it functions more like the minigun in the game, as you hold it sort of downward rather than, you know, having it up in your arms like a normal rifle. And And then we have the pan up here for the ammunition, where we either have a standard one or a light one, just for helping with a faster reload and aiming speed. And finally, we have the muzzle category, where we've either got nothing, a compensator, or a muzzle brake to help you control a little bit of that recoil coming out of this thing, because, well, it's a machine gun, there's gonna be some recoil. Though, of note, some of the barrels will make it so you can't use the muzzle category there. I think the main one is the plasma diffusion chamber. That one is gonna make it so you cannot use those, but other than that, you should be alright. So let's go grab my two modified versions I've got over here and have a look at this thing in use. And there we go, got one of the flaming ones, and of course also a plasma one, because why not a plasma Lewis gun? That's just weird, and I love it. And start off with, of course, the normal one. There's a 47 round magazine here, and fire. And there we go. It is a pretty tough gun to actually control. It's got quite a lot of kick to it, and the kick is kind of throwing it all over the place. As you can see, it's going up as well as off to either side, so it can be pretty difficult to keep on target, but all in all, it's still a pretty fun gun to use. And I mean, it is a light machine gun, that shouldn't be too surprising there. And of course, from hipfire, it's got quite the widespread, because again, hip-firing a machine gun, but aiming down sight does work pretty darn well, and I actually do like the sights on this thing. So many guns that we get in mods tend to have kind of awkward sights that I always have trouble aiming with, but these are pretty good and very nice and visible. Now, as for the modified versions that I do have here, we'll grab the flaming powerful Lewis gun, which goes for the 20, still with the 5mm on those, so it's going for 25 damage and the 10 damage of fire, because, you know, we just hooked a fuel tank up to the gun, and sure, why not? It's Fallout. And we fire. Oh yes, I also did this one with the handle, so as you can see, we are holding it more like a minigun there. And yeah, other than that, though, it does function pretty much the same, having quite a lot of kick, just, you know, holding it downward instead. And of course, does make it a little bit harder to aim if you are trying to be a bit more accurate, because you don't actually have some sights here. But oh well, it is still a fun gun to use, and there we are. And let us switch on over to the plasma. Oh, and boy, this is an appropriate song, I think, for the Lewis gun. There we go. We just have this long thing on the end of this gun, adding the plasma damage to our bullets, which is just amusing. It just makes this thing so big, and yeah, it's just basically slapping on a plasma rifle onto the side of this thing and then tubing it in to the barrel. Oh, I like that. That's a very Fallout way of doing that thing. And other than that, though, it fires the same as the usual. It's just, you know, now plasma-ified bullets, which is pretty sweet. So let's see how this thing does function against an enemy and get ourselves a Death Claw as per usual. So let's bring him in there. Wonderful. Run up here to cheese him. Lovely. Die, Death Claw. Oh boy, the bad part for me is going to be actually hitting the darn thing, because I'm an awful shot. I probably missed, I think, half of those rounds, but still, even with the half I did hit, did some pretty decent damage to him. Alright, die, Deathclaw, die, die, die. He's back there now. Okay. I did not hit many of those shots, did I? God, I'm such an awful shot. Okay, and he's coming straight at me now. He's easier to hit, easier to hit. Kill him, run away. And reload. Boy, yeah, I am really an awful shot with this thing. Let's actually switch over to the fire one. The plasma one, I went to the 308 bullets on there, so we actually do 28 damage rather than 25. But yeah, just the 25 isn't that much lower, but we get a little fire damage in here. There we go, that Deathclaw's lit on fire, getting a little bit extra going, which is always good. A little damage over time. And I think we should be able to finish him off here. Die, Deathclaw! Hopefully! Oh, thank God, he is dead! Magnificent. And yeah, that's the Lewis gun. Not only is it, I think, a fun addition into the game, always great to have other historical weapons being added in, and the Lewis gun is just a fun one, and on its own, with its kind of strange look, I think it's already an appropriate weapon for Fallout, and adding in the more Fallout-ified things like freaking plasma just makes it all the better. Plus, it's always good to see what else is coming down the pipeline for the Fallout London mod, which, boy, I can't wait till that releases. So hopefully you have enjoyed this video. If you'd like to check out this gun for yourself, which I'd certainly recommend you go and do, yeah, we'll look at the link in the description as per usual. But until next time, my friends, thank you for watching, and have a good one.